Welcome to the SaaS Factor.
Thank you so much for joining us today. We have Christy Menken here on the podcast. Welcome, Christy.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right, Christy, so what inspired you exactly to enter the world of tech?
I have always loved tech. I mean, like my entire life, all of my family members have come to me for tech advice. And so I've always just, kind of been inclined to want to work in the tech world. I got reached out to by a recruiter to join a startup tech company out of Tulsa.
Whenever you started and you joined our team, Christy, and ran our implementation, we were so grateful that you had this lens, your background with working with so many different global companies on integrations and cybersecurity and different areas that, we were not well versed in. And so, you brought a lot of light and experience and leadership to our team. And we've been so grateful. Can you tell us, just kind of based on your past experiences before you joined our team at Medify, what were some of the biggest challenges? What was, the most rewarding for you? Give us a little bit of light into what that looked like.
So when I started off, working in implementation and customer success, I was working, for a company that was working with international companies. So these are people all across the globe that are using your software, your services, right? And so, you get to interact with all the different types of cultures, different languages, different time zones. And what was really cool about that role specifically was that I was working with C-suite people. So I was working with CTOs. I was also working with the developers, so the people that are writing the code, that are implementing the code, right? And so you learn very quickly how to adapt in different environments with different types of people.
When you say you're working globally, how did that work in a culture sense? Because I know it's very different all over the globe and how everyone operates.
So what I've noticed working with all the different cultures is number one, language barriers are a thing, right? And so a lot of the time people will adapt to speaking English, of course. That might not be their first language, but what's really, enlightening is that, here in the United States, most people speak one language, they speak English, but all these other cultures and all these people that live all across the world, they speak 4 to 5 different languages, and that's kind of how they've grown up. And so it's cool to experience that, and then just when you're speaking tech is a universal language. So we're all using the same acronyms, right? There's no way to translate an acronym. And so it's kind of cool to just see how that plays out from a universal perspective. So
We've noticed something similar at Medify as well from the end user standpoint. There's a lot of plan members that prefer to communicate with any sort of healthcare related questions, benefit related questions in their primary language. I mean, even for us to communicate some of these terms that are benefits or healthcare tech related, it's not always easy for us to communicate what it is that we're trying to communicate in different terms. And so just being able to have that support measure and layer that can accommodate any language for support for our end users and plan members. It's been a game changer for our HR teams, our broker teams, as well as our end users. And so it's really important, that communication piece. Yeah.
Christy, you talked about being in implementation, being an active accounts on a customer success side. How has that served you? Has it served you to be on both ends? Is that something that you feel that completes a puzzle, or is it completely different?
So wholeheartedly, I think that working in implementation and customer success, active account management is super helpful in kind of putting all those puzzle pieces together, because you really get a lens into how the whole sales process works, how the entire product works and all the ins and outs, how to work interdepartmentally, how to work with all the different people interdepartmentally and within the customer base, right? And so like in the world of benefits, you have a sales team lead that sells the deal, and then it gets passed to onboarding. You got somebody who's leading the onboarding, right? And then they're going to be working with maybe a broker partner and an HR team and different members in that HR team. And then from there, you're kind of learning, you're getting in the groove, you're learning more about the product, right? The specs, the ins and outs of how it works, and then building it out yourself and running through a demo of it. And then after that, and you're a customer success manager, you are managing that ongoing relationship relationship, you also know how that product works. And, you've gotten insight from onboarding on all the different people that are involved, all the different players and stakeholders, right? And learning how to grow and evolve with that customer, and learning, if certain expectations are set earlier on, maybe you have to do some resetting of expectations. That's super important because at the end of the day, right, we all want to be customer centric. And so you've got your sales team, you've got your onboarding team, you've got your customer success team, and you've got your product team. All of those different people work together as one greater team, one team to, promote the service that you're providing to your customers. And so all of that's super important. And I think that definitely solves the puzzle, kind of getting to touch in all those different departments.
Yep. And we were so grateful whenever you joined our team, Christy, because you also have a product lens. You've been working with all these CTOs and these developers and engineers globally. And so you were able to kind of break things down and also support us as we were kind of building out those teams. And you had this lens. A lot of teams, depending on, which company they're working with, they don't necessarily have customer success or implementation as a strategic partner. And so I think that's what really sets us apart with our team, is that we go in and we remove barriers for customers and for our broker partners. And we come in with strategy, we come in with ideas, we come in with data, we come in with all these teams that we're able to leverage. And it's not just something that, hey, the moment that you sign the contract, good luck, that you see a lot of times, with some other products.
I think too, being SaaS, we've talked about this, it's newer, if you will. And so you have a lot of different parties from many different demographics and age bands who may not be familiar, and it can be scary, it can be uncertain. And so to your point, Christy, if you don't have everyone who is a stakeholder in those decisions on board or understanding what you're doing, that's a big risk and that's a big red flag. So I think education on both sides, building those relationships, because to Sarah's point, if we just implement and then walk away, I mean, that's a death sentence for most services. Last question for you, Christy.
Okay.
What is the best piece of advice that either you've been given or you can give to someone when we're talking about working in tech and this modern world?
I think the most important piece of advice that I can give is just work your hardest, right? I mean, I know that's easy to say, but go out there and show people what you got. Because, if you're a hard worker, it's going to show in the work and what you're providing to your customers, the inner workplace relationships. Just go out there and keep it positive, make it fun, and don't take yourself too seriously. Of course, take yourself seriously in the right situation. But I think if you work hard, you can play hard. And for me, playing hard is important. Travel is important, and being able to take some time to restore your mental capacity is very important. And so that's what I would say.
Awesome. Well, we appreciate your time, Christy. Thanks for joining us on the SaaS Factor, and we'll see everyone soon. Have a good day.